Welcome back to Jersey Matters. We continue our conversation now with former Governor Richard Codey, state senator now. I want to talk about this initiative that you and your wife are heading to stop the epidemic of teen suicides in New Jersey. Explain exactly what you're doing.
Sure. Larry, as we're sitting here right now doing this interview, there are kids in our schools, in our middle schools, in our high schools, talking about suicide. That's frightening, but it's reality. When I grew up, Larry, I grew up in a funeral home. I worked for my parents in the funeral home, and we did thousands of funerals. I never even heard of a teenager committing suicide. It just never, ever happened. But it's happening now. You're 2 times more likely to have your child today commit suicide as opposed to dying from cancer. Every year, our hospitals report at least 1,000 non-fatal suicide attempts at their door in the emergency rooms. Probably even more because it's underreported. So think about that. This is an academic and it's scary. The idea that you could lose a 12-year-old, your 12-year-old to suicide is frightening. And it's a hard topic for you or I or anybody else to talk about it, but talk about it we must. And so the question is, Larry, is why now, when back 30 years ago, 40, 50 years ago, the experts throw out 2 reasons. One is bullying. We all saw bullying, whether we were the victims or the perpetrators of it, Larry. But you could go home in the old days to the safety of your house. Today, social network walks with you into your house and doesn't escape you. There was an example of someone who got a young girl got a lot of bomb texts. So everybody sent her the same text, ha ha ha, we're at this party, you weren't invited, that kind of stuff. The other issue that they talk about is, and especially in the white suburban community, Larry, is that unlike myself, I grew up next to the Catholic Church, the convent, the rectory, the school, the cemetery, and without me, I guess, really knowing it, they served as a mentor to me, and your social life evolved around that. Today, in suburban New Jersey or throughout our country, teenagers don't go to church or temple, whatever, in the same numbers that my generation or generations that followed me do. And that's a big support system that they don't have anymore.
There's also a mental health aspect to it, is there not?
Mental health. In New Jersey, one of every 5 families has a loved one with a serious mental issue. And it's probably underreported because of the stigma. Now, if that were cancer or some other disease, oh my God, we got to do something about it. No, because there's a stigma about it. And listen, my wife has suffered severely from mental illness, and she's great now. And she's also had both her breasts removed. She will tell you that if choosing between the 2, she'd rather have her breast off because nothing compares to a deep, deep depression. But everybody, God love us, we're really doing great with breast cancer. But with nobody's out there on Main Street marching and raising money for mental health or wearing lime and black, but pink. We have to have a psyche that says, listen, this is a mother out there, and we've got to attack it. We've got to talk about it. And if you stand up and say, I need help, you'll get help.
Yeah, it's not just the teen suicides, too. I mean,
no,
mental health problems have been the root cause of many of the school shootings, and because the signs have gone ignored. And what you're doing is you're putting real money behind this.
Yeah, what we want to do with my, by the way, charity is we're going to go into the schools and talk to the non-teaching personnel. I asked my kids, who's your go-to person in school? Oh, the security guard. For me, it was a lunch person. So those people are non-judgmental. So we're going to go in and teach them the signs of depression or suicidal in our young teens. And we'll say to them, listen, by the way, if a kid who has faith in you says, I'm thinking of suicide, and she or he says to you, but don't tell anybody, oh, no, You have to tell somebody.
And then what happens there? Is there a mental health professional that's there to help?
And what we're doing, we're going to have a pilot program, a pot of money to give the school districts. Now, we have really some great guidance counselors at school, but they're not just mental health counselors. We want to put in districts people who are only mental health counselors to cover this issue and this issue only.
And this is your foundation that's paying for this, and it's just the kind-heartedness of donors that are putting up the money.
Yes.
1.3 million. Are you still looking for money for this?
No, we have enough money to cover the programs where we're going to go into the schools. Yes, but we also want to create a program, taxpayer program, to fund the mental health counselors working for the school district. So one day she or he will be at so-and-so middle school or another middle school and the high school, or the two high schools.
Well, it's a noble cause, and catching some of these problems earlier are going to help these young men and women and for the rest of their lives.
You and I could never understand the tragedy of losing a child to suicide.
Sir, I appreciate it. Governor Richard Codey, thank you for the interview. Jersey Matters continues right after this. Still to come on Jersey Matters, a former NFL football player is on a mission to make marijuana legalized in the league. That's still to come.